Good morning, guys. Matthew 12:46-50. While he was still speaking to the people, behold, his mother and his brothers stood outside asking to speak to him. But he replied to the man who told him, "Who is my mother and who are my brothers?" And stretching out his hands towards his disciples, he said, "Here are my mother and my brothers. For whoever does the will of my Father in heaven is my brother and sister and mother." All right, a couple reasons I like this passage. I think communicates a few cool things here. First, we can kind of guess that Joseph has died at this point, and that's why there's no mention of here. Joseph being the husband of Mary, Jesus's mother, right? And during this context, when the father of the family would die, it would then be the oldest son's role to step up and take his place, fill his shoes. So Jesus is out doing his ministry, and we can guess maybe that Mary and the brothers are here to try to talk some sense into him. Like, you should be at home helping provide for this family, helping take care of us, everything else, right? So first, Jesus is prioritizing the call of God over the call of society and his family. All right, his family and society would say, "Hey, you need to be here doing this," and that wouldn't be a bad thing for most people in most circumstances, right? What society calls us to may not necessarily be bad; it may be a good thing. But the best is what God calls us to. And God is obviously calling him to live this life of ministry. And so Jesus is prioritizing that call. Do you prioritize the call of God, or do you try to do what other people want of you, basically? Then Jesus is making this point of calling his disciples his family. You will relate to Christians more than you relate to anybody else. Being brothers and sisters in Christ is a deeper bond, and you relate better to those people than any others because you've given your life to the same purpose. We are all giving our life as an offering sacrificially. Our whole life is about this. And your friends and family who you love and you relate to and have lived with and grown up with and everything else, you can still relate to them on such a deep level. But if they haven't given their life fully to Christ, it's just a different thing. And you'll hear people who do missionary work, they'll be in Africa helping build a church or whatever. And they'll say that these people that they're with for that time, who barely speak the same language, completely different circumstances, they're in poverty and everything else, they feel like they relate to them on such a deep level. Because we're brothers and sisters in Christ. We are family. And so that's the point he's trying to make. And then I've kind of I've talked about this before, but imagine your family has driven all this way to see you. All right, obviously they weren't driving, but imagine they've come all this way to see you. And you're preaching, you're talking, you're discipling, you're busy speaking to people about Jesus, and then somebody comes up and says, "Hey, your mom and your brothers have come all this way to see you. Can you come talk to them?" And Jesus is like, "No, I'm doing what God is calling me to do right now. Like, my mother and my brothers, they can wait. I'm prioritizing speaking to people about God." And that's what Jesus is doing here.